Okay. Hey, everybody. This is episode 6. This is starting to almost feel natural. Probably not, but it's getting there. Okay, so we left off. I remember I was actually trying to get into visual exploration. I'll get back to that in a moment, but I actually was. Do I have my tabs open now? I was looking at some Wikipedia stuff today, and I remember. So basically, to recap, and Caitlin's here, so this is partly for her, partly for myself to reorient. I finished all the data. It was totally done. We got it prepped and ready for the web so we could start visualizing it to see what we're working with. We even filtered it down from the 1,400 people to around 130 people. And it ended up looking like we ended up with 2 CSVs. So you can see that here. It had all the information. So this is like the people. So all the meta information about them, who they are, their average views, all that good stuff. And then we also ended up with a page views CSV, which was just the page views for each day, for each person of the filtered people. It still ended up being 140,000 rows. So I was doing a little bit of data optimization. So reducing the number of digits in the percent, and I truncated the timestamp. It's still about 5 megabytes, which I don't know, that'll end up being gzipped, but I said for now this is totally fine because I'm just going to be using it locally. So we'll come back to it when we want to even optimize it more. I don't like to try to keep the data files as small as possible, and 5 megabytes is a little bit large, but not the end of the world. So yeah, that's where we left off, and I was about to start exploring it, but as I just mentioned, I was looking at Wikipedia today, and I hovered over a name, and then I saw that there's actually a little more information there. And if you remember last time, I looked into scraping more information from the, this person doesn't have one. He will definitely have one. From this info box page, but found out that it's super, what's the word? I guess it's very inconsistent. So not everyone will have the same properties, and it's all over the place. So I figured if I do want more information, if we end up with 100 people, that will probably be some manual desk research. So it probably wasn't even worth the effort to scrape it all. However, as I was hovering, I was like, oh, look, it has a sentence about the guy. It's more of a summary, which is better than just American actor. And this seems to be pretty consistent. And then also another thing that we could definitely possibly use is the image, right? So if we wanted an image at some point, that would be helpful. So where's this information coming from? Because it's definitely not in the HTML. If you look here, clearly that's nowhere in here. So if you go actually to the network tab, and let's clear that, when you hover, you see it makes this request here. So basically, it's just hitting its own API and returning this nice little summary endpoint, which has all that information. So it actually has some things that I might grab just for consistency rather than having to. So we're grabbing this stuff from the HTML itself, but clearly it has the canonical and then the display. So I might actually use that stuff, especially for and also as a page ID. So right now I've been using the name for the ID, but I probably prefer to use this. And then obviously you can see here it has a thumbnail, which is great. It also has the dimensions, so we can actually grab those URLs as well, which I think would be perfect. Oh, and then that bit of information, right? It has, this is the one we were grabbing the first time, but we can actually go ahead and grab the description and what it looks like they call the extract, which is a more detailed summary of the person. So if you see, if we hover over him, we can't really see it's cut off, but that is that longer blurb right there. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go back and do a little more data scraping, and then finally, I'm gonna do a couple of these today, so I will get to actually visualizing some of this stuff before the day's over. Questions, Caitlin? Do you feel caught up?
I feel caught up, and this sounds really good. I'm excited. I'm excited to see how this is going to work.
Shit, me too. So the good thing is, I was planning on rerunning all the scripts again, anyways, on July 1st for like 3 even years of data. So it's really easy for us to rerun everything. I have it all documented here. We just should be able to run each of these in order. However, I should probably add a note here that that's our first one, download year pages. Actually, we're not doing anything new with that because that's not changing. Actually, we probably should do that because if there's new deaths, they will be included. So here, let's start by just getting that going. Cool. The second one was parsing the year pages, and this one I actually had some manual entry in, which is probably not the best thing in the world. Maybe I should finally change this so it's not a hard-coded date. Parse year pages. I'm pretty sure I have a hard-coded date in here somewhere. Nope, I'm lying. Maybe that's in another one. Oh, let's go back to the README. Oh, right. It's in both of these, right? When I'm hitting the API for the page views, it's when I'm specifying dates. But this is actually the one we're going to want to modify, is parsing the year pages, because that's extracting every person. So let's actually get to that one. Parse year pages. Excellent. So let's revisit what's going on here. So this was just basically going through each of the year pages, which are one for each year, and then extracting the people from it, which is essentially loading that page and then iterating over every month and then iterating over every list element. And that's where we got into that fun stuff of like figuring out what it was. And we ended with these things. So we're actually now just going to add in a couple more things here, I think. Maybe. Let me look through this. So we have the name, the link, the year, blah, blah, blah. Let's look at that hover event again. Oops, let's go to the actual, here, I'll make this bigger. So we actually have extracted all the data. So you know what? I actually might make a new file because all the data is coming from when we do this hover, which is an API request. So I might actually create this as its own step to just add metadata to each person, because there's nothing new we're going to get from rescraping this, because hitting that API is simply just passing their name to that API. So I changed my mind. We're not going to put it in that file. That doesn't make sense. So let's go back to the README. We've got the get wiki page views. So these are the two that I should update since I'm not really rerunning any of that stuff. This took a little while because it had to go through like 1,400 people. So I'm not going to do that today. I'll run it once it's actually July 4th or 1st. I guess we can Actually, it doesn't even make sense to get all that extra information until we've filtered the people, right? Because we don't need the extra meta information for the 1400 we're not using. So I think this is going to be a step. Actually, we already have a step 6. I just forgot to add it to the README. We have a couple, actually. We have the Explore, which gave us some of those statistics, like the median page views. We had the filter population, which does what it sounds like, and then prepare for web. So we actually want to make this intermediate step, which is once we filter the population, we want to get more data about each person. So first of all, let me add these to the README because I clearly forgot to. Okay, so we've got step 6, will be npm run explore. And basically this calculates a bunch of summary statistics for each person's page views. Step 7, filter population. This reduces the data to people who satisfy some quantitative. Okay. And this will eventually be step 9. And this was something I thought was a super clear-cut data processing task, and we have 9 steps. Granted, I could have certainly consolidated some of these, but for sake of clarity, I think it's better to break it up. This one, I guess, consolidates and optimizes data for web presentation. Now the missing step, step 8, is actually going to be npm run, which we call it, add details. Gets more detail info on each person. Pretty straightforward. Let's go ahead and actually add that script, add detail. And let's look at filter population. Okay, so we're going to be when you use that CSV, the filtered CSV. We actually also have to remember, I'm just going to put the note in here for now, to do bring in detail CSV, not filtered. All right, so need to create a new thing. Let's see, where's prepare for web? So it's going to be called add details.js. Yep, and we don't even need that. Oh, we don't, just keep it. So we don't need all this craziness. We really just need the filtered data set here. Delete all of that. And let's delete all of that. Lovely. And actually, I've been bad about my naming, but I just log people data to see what we've got. All right, npm run add details. Correct. So this has the wiki link, which is all we need. This is actually all we need. All this other stuff is unnecessary right now, even though I guess we could just append stuff to this file. and create a new one. Cool. So we're going to do another one of those async await things because we're going to be hitting an API. So let's do that. So we're going to want this to be the async function so we can run an await within each one. And we're going to do the for person of people data await get details. Then, because we're going to want to write it out as a single CSV. So we'll have a thing called output. And this is going to accept the response. And it's going to say output.push response. And then eventually it'll say write file sync output slash details CSV. And I've been using output as my naming convention over here, so I should change this. Output. We'll call it with details. Output equals details for format. Yeah, with details. Okay. So let's just make sure this whole async business is working. So let's go to function, get details, expects a person. And right now, let's just return person. So we'll return the exact object. So details.csv should just be exactly the same as this, assuming we wrote that properly. Didn't. All right, it's supposed to return a promise. That's my error. A output. Details. Perfect. All right, now let's actually do something and get the data. I forget which package I ended up using. I think it was, do I even have that script anymore? Oh yeah, I used it for, oh yeah, Wiki.js. So we could just hit that API directly. I have a feeling this will also work. Let's bring up that documentation. Wiki.js. Wiki page. Somewhere. I'm assuming this is it. Somewhere. Where is it? That seems easy enough. So let's close this. And get details should actually do this. Wiki.page person.get, or sorry, get ID person.link, because right, we just want to extract the ID, not the whole string. And then page.summary, and then we're just going to log it out. And let's just go ahead and slice this just as one person so we don't get a bunch of craziness in the console. Didn't work. Wiki.page is not a function. disagree. This was not good. Console.log ID. Make sure that's like legit. Okay, that seems fine. We got it still is hitting. It's not a function. Pretty sure it's like exactly the syntax I used for the other one. Download your pages. Actually, we should let's log out the index equals 0, a little progress tracker, console.log index +1 of people data.length. Boom. Oh, bummer. So that definitely recorded that whole summary. But I thought it was actually going to record all that other detail too. The summary is literally just a summary. Oh, they have it all broken out. It actually might be easier to just scrape in my endpoint myself. What was this called? Main image. All right, I mean, they kind of already have that, but I feel like there's something else I wanted to get. This is deprecated. Oh, this is them trying to parse the info box. Let's see how that works. Interesting. Still not the thing I was specifically looking for, but I'm pretty sure this is inconsistent though, so I still don't want to like rely on that. Plus, I don't really know if I need that stuff, to be honest. Yeah, it doesn't look like they have any of that other information. All right, well, let's try it the other way. So the other way to do it, which is how I do most of my scraping, is when there's not an API, but there is some like JSON endpoint or something, or whatever, it is to use the request library in combination with either Cheerio if it's HTML, or if it's JSON, you can just parse it with JavaScript. So let's npm I request. And let's grab that link again, what it's supposed to be. And so instead of using the Wikipedia module, we're simply going to figure out the ID. We can save this URL up here, const piece URL. We just want to delete that. And all we have to do is say const URL equals base URL. Actually, I'll get rid of the slash. It's just a little easier. Slash in there, slash ID. And just to show you what that's doing, I'll log that. Oops, it's already installed. So that's the thing we're going to try to hit, and hopefully that returns that JSON. If we just put it in the browser, it does, which is good. So now we actually need to do that in here. So we can say request. I think we just pass it the URL, and then it expects the response is, I think it's error response body. And we'll say if error, we'll reject that error message. Else if response dot, so response is like the HTML response, which is has like all this information. So we specifically care about the status code, because if it's a 200, you know, everyone knows a 404. That's the status code. We only want to know 200s, which means it was like I forget what that 200 technically means. But if we just Google it, it'll tell us. But it basically means it was okay. Oh, it's actually okay. So we just want to make sure it's okay. 100. If it is, let's go ahead and like parse it and stuff. Otherwise, again, we will reject, and we'll just pass a custom message, no, or not 200. Or you know what? It's just better yet. It's just response status code. And finally, we care about the body, which should be JSON. So we actually just need to turn it into JSON. It's just like text. So we say JSON.parse body. And this should be our data. And let's go ahead and log that out. And then we can extract what we need from it. Makes sense, yeah. Can't see you. Assume it's a yes. All right, npm run at details. Request is not defined. We need to include the library before we use it. Again. We did have a status. Oh, it's not status, it's status code. Ooh. So there we have it. We've got that data. So now we can just straight up extract what we want from it. So let's see. I want titles. I want to grab canonical and display. I feel like that's going to be the, I don't know. That'd be nice. So let's see. So we want const canonical. Canonical equals data dot titles dot, and actually I'm going to extract a couple of things here. You can actually do the deconstructor. So we're going to take canonical and display from here. What else do I want? I want the page ID. That's a top level, it looks like. So const page ID equals data. What else did I say? I want the thumbnail. And I actually want to keep the width and the height, so I'm going to, let's see, but I actually want it to be all flat. So we're going to say const thumbnail equals, that's also top level, isn't it? now. And then we can say thumbnail source equals thumbnail source, and we also want the width and the height, maybe. Okay, and then we want, what else? We have the description. I'm wondering if it's better to use this one in case we had some HTML parsing errors. Might as well grab that and we can overwrite it. And actually that's also top level. Oh, and the extract. Ooh, we could grab it as HTML. It has everything kind of marked up already. But that means it's already marked up, which could be annoying. Now let's grab the HTML, I think. That's also top level extract HTML. Now, like I said, we just want to return just return a new object that has everything inside of person plus all those things that we just grabbed. So page ID, description, extract HTML, canonical, display, all those thumbnail things. Sweet. So it returns that, and it adds that to this new empty array. And then it will write that out as a CSV. Let's see if it did that. Okay, so far so good. No. Didn't have any of the new things in it. Why not? Oh, because I didn't resolve it. I did return. Since this is a promise, we need to resolve it. To actually resolve. We resolved it, which makes the then. We also should put a catch in here. Catch error. And I suppose we could still write it out. I'll probably end up figuring out why that's the case. So in this case, it would just write out person and everything else would be blank. All right, well, let's go ahead and not slice it. And let's roll. And actually, I'm going to also log out the name of the person dot link. So if we do have an error, we can know exactly who to look at. Caitlin, what's your favorite part?
Say that. Wait, what is my favorite part?
Oh, I said this is your favorite part where all the names are just running down.
Oh, yeah, you know.
Also, it said one of every time because I never increased the index. Index plus equals 1. Also, we hit an error on one of them. So I know that source. I wonder if that was the last one. I'm assuming this person doesn't have a thumbnail, so let's just like check that real quick. yeah, I don't even see a thumbnail object. So we need to handle that error if it comes up. So this is actually, no, I can still do it as a const. Work out. I'll just put a little ternary operator in there. So if thumbnail exists, do that. Otherwise, no. Woohoo! Let's check out the result. So this looks great. Let me make this even bigger. New things are page ID, description, which we already had, but I'll probably use this one. Extract HTML, which is that giant thing. And then we should have 2 of their names and then all the thumbnail information. So 2 names and the URL to the thumbnail and the width and height. So that looks pretty. So now that we're done with that, so now we can just rerun our prepare web using that data instead of the filter data. So what's to do? Web, which basically just like merge everything together. So I was using filtered. Only difference here is I can just use what I call it, details. And let's see, population. And actually, see, I was actually creating an ID here before, and I totally don't need to do that because now I have page ID. Is totally fine by me. Let's see what that produces. All right, so people should be even bigger now because we should have all that new stuff in there. So we're gonna have a lot of duplicates because we have the name, which I did via scraping, but then we're also gonna have canonical and display, which are other names. Oh, did we lose oh no, descriptions in there. Actually, that's one thing I was curious about because I remember, yeah, so like Prince, it had this thing, and I was like, oh, we can parse that out. I have a feeling that the display name will not include that. It'll be a good thing. I lied, it does. It's the exact same thing. Oh, well.
I feel like that's something that even if there's only like 140 can be like manually.
Yeah, but we're fine because they're very good about it. Like it's always exactly a parentheses. So like.
So we could just take it out.
Yeah. So and it is literally just. You're right though. I see like. No. Oh wait, is that what's going on here?
Whoa.
He got his own row. He broke it. Oh, it's because of his extract broke the CSV parsing. Shucks.
What's his name? Forsyth?
Bruce Forsyth.
God, Bruce.
So maybe I should actually use the. Let's check him out actually. So Bruce Forsyth. Wonder. There's some strange quotations in it which just like didn't jive with the CSV formatting.
A British something.
He's a British actor, musician, or something. Let's look at his extract. That's weird. Nothing's jumping out at me. This is being like problematic.
Where did it break? It broke in 2012, Guinness World Records.
Forsyth. This sentence right here.
Weird.
But we weren't using this. We were using this one.
Yeah.
Right here, but still.
Why?
Okay, so let's look at the detailed CSV and see if. I'm pretty sure this has to be fine though. It should be. Oh wait, it's not fine. We should have 130 people, not 131 people.
Is that because of the line? Yeah.
Entertainer. Huh. Come on, Bruce.
Is there something, I don't know, some kind of, well, no, we would see it because you can see the HTML tags for like.
Yeah, there's nothing there. There must have been
a new line, like I was thinking a new line tab or something, but it doesn't make sense.
So let's see what happens here. So because clearly that was in the CSV formatting, we can go back to our detail script and what's Bruce's ID. All right, so we'll just log this stuff out here. If page ID is equal to Bruce, console.log extract HTML. Let's see what it looks like. Also, I don't know why I didn't just scrape his rather than do them all over again. Oh well.
It's because you know that I like to watch it like that. That's why. I've taken a boomerang of that before. Of something just outputting.
Is he gonna be the last one? Or was it a string? Is that why? Oh, it's not a string, it's a number. Okay. I think it is a new line break. See how it new line broke?
That would make sense.
Because there was that wasn't in the formatting before. I don't like messing with the text. I suppose I can, let me just quickly try. You just do like a replace all.
For new lines.
First, yeah, but because I guess there'd be no reason, like a new line wouldn't be something that's rendered in HTML anyways. So it's not a problem if we replace all those if they do exist.
I feel like this is a constant struggle I run into just all the time with new line tabs.
They can be a pain to replace all new lines with nothing. So first, let's just see if it logs that out. All right, I think that's the trick. I'm happy. Are you happy?
I'm happy.
All right. So we'll just do that on everything. We'll say is extract HTML. Oops. Okay. Put it at the bottom so it looks a little cleaner. Yeah, I'm checking Slack.
It's been quiet.
It's Friday.
For a holiday.
Okay, let's now run the thing again. What's the thing? npm prepare web, and hopefully now it's nice and clean. Hey, Bruce is fixed. Bruce.
Take that, Bruce.
That looked cool. Bruce. God. Okay, there we go. We're back. Great. Yeah, great. So I think so now we're done. We are done getting data. Let's commit that back. Get more details on people. Push that up. So now this is why I created the handy copy that data over. So now let's go back to the exploration thing. And I had a little command called, let me clear this so we can actually bring it up top. Make copy data. And now that data is the latest from our scraping in our exploration folder, which I guess, Caitlin, summary for you. I'm using, and for anyone that for some reason is jumping just to this video, I'm using Blockup. You know Blockup.
I've come across it before, but I haven't used it.
Okay, cool. I use it religiously. And I mentioned, like most people, like I'm sure you probably use Python usually, right?
Yeah, mostly Python.
I'm assuming you use the libraries that drive with Python for visually exploring stuff.
Yep.
What is it? Matplotlib, and what's the other big one?
I mostly use Matplotlib.
Yeah.
But I've been actually doing, like I said, some stuff in R with like ggplot and stuff like that too. But Matplotlib, I think, is big for Python.
So yeah, most people do that. I think an outlier. You could definitely use like observable or something. I haven't really gotten the hang of that yet. So I like to use D3, and I use Blockup because it's live reloads. It lets you write in ES6, and it uses stylus for a CSS preprocessor, which I love. Mm-hmm. Anyways, don't need to espouse the virtues of it anymore. So let's see. So in here, so all I have to do is run Blockup, and that'll launch our thing. And the only thing I did last time, right before I broke, was what's this on this side? It started to load in the data. But I was having a problem because I swear that I usually use Jetpack, which is a D3 add-on. So I don't usually use d3.csv directly. But I thought this is how you load data, but it's not returning it how I thought it should. So I remember the last thing I was going to do is go to the D3 docs because I haven't been there in a little while. And figure out why that's the case, because that's not what the day should look like. And I have a feeling I'm going to feel really stupid after looking this up, but that's usually the case. Oh yeah, maybe I should look at the changes, because this is using D3v5. Yes. He made a breaking change, non-backward compatible change, because now it uses promises. How about that? That's quite significant. I should make sure there's nothing else that majorly changed. All right, well, that's really straightforward then. So this is totally not the right syntax anymore. It's d3.csv.then, and there's no error response. It's just a response because you'd catch an error with the catch function, which would look like this. We'll just log out. Oh, that's missing something. Okay. Now we do console.log response. And it should be logging out the data. Thank goodness. Awesome. And there we have all of our data, which is great. We want those to be numbers, a lot of those things. So let's actually go ahead and actually, do we want numbers here? Yeah, we want numbers. So let's go to the documentation, because there used to be like a cleaning function that kind of built in, or a way to do that. So I just did fetch. I thought maybe he got rid of it. Oh no, perfect. So there's this intermediary step that you can do to clean the data, which will iterate over each row. So let's see, it looks like you do that right here, and it should be a row of data as a function. And it will and we'll basically clean it and return something. So then response will now have numbers. I'm just, instead of doing any, I'm just going to implicitly return a new object rather than having to write return. This is the same thing. I'm going to use the spread operator. So it returns all the variables, or sorry, properties that are in row. So if I just do this, that's the same as just returning what it already looks like. So let's see if that works. Yeah, perfect. So nothing was changed. It basically just made a copy of it. But we actually want to convert some of those properties to numbers. Specifically, I mean, I'm not really going to be using any of those max, and maybe I'll do just, yeah, for sorting purposes, maybe. So like max views will become, actually, I'm just going to switch over to using D, because that's kind of like my convention that is bad, but that's what Blockstock usually does. Max views. Not bad, it's just not descriptive. What else do we have? Max percent traffic. Sure, why not? No, I don't think I'm going to be using it. Page ID, that's fine. It's an ID, fine for a string. Thumbnail width and height for sure. And year of birth and year of death, yeah. Okay, so basically it will write all out these, the way this works, the deconstruct, the spread operator. I always confuse spread and deconstructing. I think it's spread. It'll write out all the properties, so it'll look like this, but then it'll overwrite max views with the number version, and so on and so forth. So now if we look at it, there we go. Those are in number format, not strings anymore, so we can use them for calculations. I mean, I should probably end up deleting all the ones that I don't end up using, but this is a pretty darn small file, so I'm not too worried right now. So that loads the people data. We also then need to load the page views data. And since these are both asynchronous, I would usually do like a queue. It's probably bad. Well, yeah, it is bad to just like keep nesting things, but oh well. It's only two things. That's why I like Jetpack. Jetpack lets you just use a D3 queue without actually creating one. Let's just make these into the function. So function people data. function load. And the other reason I actually like doing my prototyping and exploration in here is because I'll actually be able to reuse a lot of this code when I actually go into the creating the story. Which obviously, unless you're creating static images or stuff, you can't port over like your R code to the web. So there is a slight efficiency benefit of doing it this way.
Is this a good time to say what some other people use during this stage as well?
You mean like
prototyping? Like I know I started doing mine in Jupyter Notebook.
Oh yeah.
Something else I didn't mention was Plotly also works. Those are one line, very easy. R Markdown was my best friend last year. That's also a nice one. And then you always have Keynote.
You can bring in data into Keynote and have it render a chart.
I don't think you. Oh yeah, you can. But they're like Keynote charts. But yeah, you can.
I guess that's like just like using Excel or something too.
Exactly.
Those are all also valid options.
There we go. A little review from.
And then Tableau if you're into that community, which I'm not.
Or Figma. That's really, really nice.
Oh my God, there's so many things.
There's so many things. Now we've overwhelmed everyone. Or pencil and paper.
So we actually will be doing pencil and paper. So I'm doing this purely for the data exploration. Like this is the step where I'm still trying to figure out what's in the data. I think this is a perfect case where you could probably run calculations and come up with answers, but to me, this whole story is about seeing the visual trends. And I'm not really sure how to frame the story until like I see it, and then I'll have a better sense of like what to focus on and dive more deeply into. Okay. So let's do the same thing. Let's load page view data. These are local, so we can just go boom, boom. Page views. And page views is much more simple. It has, oh shoot, I want to change that. We're going back. I want the ID to be page ID. I don't want to use, we have the code open. Prepare for web. Where was page views? Page view data. Oh, damn. Oh, perfect. I did it here. Yeah, so I don't want to get the ID. I want to use, oh shoot. Can I do this? People data. Yeah, I think we're good here. I want to use the page ID. Page views, person, page ID, return page ID. Yeah, I think we're good. Let me rerun this, see if I break things. Good. ID. Oh, shoot, I still need to get the, ID equals ID, blank. That's because those were saved with the, don't worry about it. All right. So let's look at page views again. Hopefully this time it has page ID. Sweet. Timestamp. No, I don't want that as a number because I'm just going to parse that. So it could be a number. Actually, you could have it as a number because I'll eventually want it to parse it so I can actually display the real date. But in terms of presenting it on a timeline, that totally works from a numerical standpoint. So I guess these three, I'll turn those all into those. Oops. And both of these are not being called. So let's just go ahead and say create a init function here. Say load people data. And we'll just do them as promises. And new promise. Resolve. Object. And we can straight up just pass it resolve here and reject here. So we load people data that then response people. And then it's still nested, but whatever. Load page views data. Then resp page views. Oh wait, if they're promises, I'm silly. I can just do promise that. Promise dot all. An array of promises. Const p equals. Hold on, my foot just fell asleep. Load people data. Load pages data. And then this will return a response, or which will actually be an array. Catch console. And if we log our response, we should see an array with both of the things. Oh no. What I do? I'm not seeing that I did wrong here. Do I have to actually? What is going on here? I feel like there's an, oh. That'll do it. Losing my mind.
It's Friday. We all are.
See if I did this right. I didn't do it right. Maybe I actually have to execute this. Nothing. Turn your promise. Oh, come on, Caitlin.
Don't blame me.
Okay. Oof. So now I don't know. I'm so confused. I don't know if I did that right or not. Oh my God, still nothing. Oh, I never called the init function. Boom. So actually, I'm curious. I'm pretty sure those have to be executed. Look at that. We've got data. A lot of data. Perfect. We have officially loaded data. That took far too long. But great. Now we have our data. And now we can just say, wait for both of those things to go. And then we can just say, I guess, set up charts. What chart? I don't know how many charts we're going to have here. Maybe I don't know what I'm planning on doing. It's all just set up chart, which expects data. And so const, you can do it like this. What do we want to call it? People data, page view data equals data. I think that works. Yep. We got those as variables. Now we can do something. I haven't really thought about. I could make 130 charts and then just scroll through them. I could make a single chart with a drop down. Let's start by just making a single chart and not overcomplicating it. And then we'll go from there. And we can make it more reusable.
I agree.
Awesome. I think I'll make a chart and then take a break. I'm parched.
I know my laptop is. I need a charger.
Oh, okay. The countdown is on.
23%.
Oh, you're good. I guess video chatting will make it go a lot quicker, but
I can't even keep myself off mute. It's so quiet in here. Anyways, continue with your chart.
Where was I? Okay, so I think we already have an SVG, and we're just doing the standard block 960 by 500. What to do? Oh, we've got a G tag as well, so let's save that. Also, this is totally a Russell convention. I put $signs in front of all of my DOM elements because I don't use jQuery, so there's no conflict there. But I like to do that so I know what is a DOM element and what is not. Just as helpful for me. All right, so we're gonna say, what do we want to do? We want to filter the data first, so let's just grab the first person. So const person equals people data of 0. And then we want to grab the page view data for that person. So const page views equals page view data dot filter d dot page ID is equal to person dot page ID. Let's log that out. Use. All right, 1,000. That makes sense. That's just over. Oh, it's just under 3 years. That looks great. Omar Sharif. That's the first person. Lovely. We're good to make a chart. So let me set back up. See, so we're gonna say G dot. I mean, if I was being good, I would do all the fixins, like make axes. Maybe we should be good. Let's be like semi-good or like half-hearted. So we want an axis. Axis. We want axes. We want two of them. So sorry, we're appending a G dot class G dot. Actually, no, let's use the attribute. Oh man, I miss Jetpack. Jetpack, instead of doing this, you can actually just do this. But you don't even have to mess with that. Oh well. All right, so we got a spot for those. Let's also make a container for the viz. G dot append G is. And then yeah, now let's make a line. So you can say is dot. Well, if we're just doing a single one, we don't need to do a data join. We'll just say viz dot append path, and we'll say let's see path. We need a line function. D3 reference here. Line equals D3 dot line. And do that. Dot X. So what is the X selector going to be? It's going to be timestamp. And Y selector is going to be D dot. Let's just go with views for now. And then let's go ahead and create a scale const scale X equals we got scale linear. Main is going to be d3 dot extent page views, and it's going to look for d dot timestamp, and range is going to be, do we have a width and height variable? We do. 0, width. A Y scale. And this one will actually go from 0 to so what? We have the max page views, don't we? We don't have to calculate this. So we can actually just do person dot max views. And the range, you actually want to be inverted. Because when it's 0, we want it to be at the bottom, which is height. Now you can say path dot attribute D. And we don't have any of the data bound or anything right now, so we'll straight up just say line of page views. Nothing ever works the first time, so let's save it. Oh wait, we want to actually use the scales while creating a line. So scale X, scale Y. So before I switch over the tab, what do you think? You think this is going to work?
I have faith. It's so small.
Did something.
Yeah.
It's better than nothing. So let's see. It's just called path. Let's give that path a class. Page views. Page views. Fill. None. Stroke. Oh. I wonder if that's actually true. Are you seeing this, Caitlin?
I'm looking now. I keep forgetting I'm on mute.
So if this is true, this guy has like this, looks like 2 monumentally high page views and everything else is peanuts.
I wonder what these points are.
This is also assuming everything is calculated. Let's look at let's pick another person just to see if this is working. So let's say 23 for Michael Jordan.
You've memorized Michael Jordan's position.
No. He's not dead.
Oh, duh.
That's his number in basketball.
Oh,
we're not helping ourselves. Let's actually go ahead and here before we append this, let's append a const name equals append p. Also, I would never do this. I would usually put this in the HTML, but again, exploration phase. Into the name, let's make sure we say name.text people.display. Oh, error. Person. Oh, Nancy Reagan. Whoa. This is crazy if this is how it actually happens. Let's keep plugging other people. Let's make this way wider. I'm curious because that makes it seem like it's a single day. Make this chart huge. Make it like, let's see, if we have about 1,000 days and we want maybe like a couple pixels per day, let's make it like 5,000. And it still seems to be, here, I'm going to make it even bigger. Make it 50,000 pixels wide. Whoa. That's crazy. That's way too big. That's crazy. I was not expecting this. I need to put a scale on here so I can see what's going on. I mean, an axis. So let's say need to select axes x dot call scale x. Actually, I don't care about that one. Let's just put the y-axis on. So then it'll work. Oh, nothing happened. Nothing happened. Access. Huh. Pretty sure that's how you do that. No, it's not at all. You have to say dot access. Is that wrong? Oh my goodness. DP access.
Didn't they change it in between version 3 and version 4?
I don't. Maybe there's definitely no doc. No, I just don't know why I did that wrong. It was close. Just needed the doc call. But v3 dot act. Oh, I'm an idiot. Oh, v3 dot access top. Yeah, I had it right. I just had the wrong. So call is on the element itself. v3 dot access. Call access. Okay, maybe this is what I was trying to do. Oh, still failing. Okay, that's right. And then you say call. Oh. Man, I had it mostly right the first time. There we go. And it's up there. That's no bueno. Oh wait, this is it's the y-axis. Axis left. Okay, let's slide everything. Let's make those margins. Margin left. Let's make that like. Man, I want to check that out. So let's pick someone. Let's handpick somebody here.
I was about to say, can we like pick someone who we might be able to identify the spikes?
That's 35. So just create a drop down so I can. Oh, that's not what I wanted. It's off by 1. Okay, I totally did something wrong. Prince was definitely not getting 0 page views a day. Would you agree that that's probably very unlikely?
Yeah, something.
But let's log it. Might be a case where we're gonna have to do log scales for everything because like his got up to 5 million page views.
So it actually isn't 0 page views. Maybe it's like 20,000, but like
exactly. Yeah. So look, like 7,000, 16,000, 7,000, 7,000.
Which is a non-trivial amount.
Damn.
But they jumped that high at one point. They jumped into the millions.
They jumped. Oh, I didn't log out. First person. So his average overall is around 10,000. It jumped to 5 million. So that was a change of 637, which means it was 637 or 63,000% higher. Is that how that works?
Yeah, because you multiply by 100, right?
Yeah. So that was like
So a log scale, because I mean, I don't think Prince is the only person where this is going to happen.
No, I mean, that was like the point of the whole thing, right? Is it?
Yeah.
And actually, it's interesting, right? Because this was clear. It was sustained for a little bit, but like, whoa. Huh.
I bet like Kate Spade is going to have like a huge, just like talking about a recent example.
I think everyone is going to ultimately end up having this giant spike. And then, so like, hers only went to, oh no, hers went to 2 million. So, oh man.
Yeah.
I mean, this could also just change my whole theory of everything, that it's no one is more than a blip. That makes it even sadder. Oh, those people are too recent. Like Yogi Berra, he's super famous. 10. He's in the baseball world.
I was about to say, I'm like, isn't that baseball?
Yeah, just he was like one of these guys that had like tons of famous quotes.
Oh, yes. Okay, this makes sense.
Look at that.
Same shape as Prince.
I wonder how many days that is. I have to like, I don't know. I could just do these as dots instead of a line, and that would help. Let's just add another axis on.
I'm talking and my microphone is moving. We can look at the number of days.
Let me move that to the bottom. Dot attribute transform translate.
Isn't there an axis bottom function? Is there a reason why you don't use
Bottom is the placement, and actually you're right, but bottom is the placement of whether it's the stuff, the ticks are above or below the line. It doesn't have to do with it's on the screen.
Got it. That makes sense.
That's going to be super unhelpful because it's trying to turn a date into a number, even though you can. I mean, yeah, that should be better. Okay, well, I think this is a good breaking point. Definitely is going to be intriguing in terms of I'm definitely next step I want is render everybody. And actually, just by like cherry picking a couple more of these, I think it's very clear. Let me just go back to the more reasonable number. Or was it 960? It's very clear that I think every single person is actually going to end up having a spike.
It just kind of seems the severity of the spike is different.
And like this one is interesting. Like if you put this on a different scale, like clearly this is pretty low and this has been much higher since. Right? Like you can't, it's hard to tell, but you can definitely see that. I mean, I can see it. Might be harder in the screen sharing.
No, I can see it.
Like one of the things I'm kind of interested in. Yeah. So like this is another one, right? Like,
yeah,
it looks like if I had to guess, it went from like 5,000 on average to maybe like here it's probably like 20,000.
I feel like there might, even though all of them will have spikes, we may be able to identify different shapes of the spikes, if that makes sense.
Yes.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, I wonder what was going on.
Yeah, there.
I mean, those are clear like events happen where people are like, oh, who is this person?
I can see interesting annotations happening too for each person, so you can like actually identify those events.
Oh.
Interesting.
But yeah, I don't think we're gonna find one where we actually can see that one happened like right there. Where there's going to be more than a single massive blip and everything else is totally dwarfed. So that'll be an interesting challenge. But
Whoa.
that doesn't make it. That's got to be bad data, right? Wait, who's that?
I like know that name, but I can't identify.
Oh, yeah. But like, that can't be right.
I don't even remember this.
Hold on, December 31st. But there's no way, right, that the page views would
do that.
Be like a perfect climb. There must. Oh, I know why. And I have to make a note of this.
Is there a gap in the data?
Yes, this is not necessarily continuous data.
Got it. It's
that
just
is a huge thing that I remember. Yeah, so there's no data between there and there, which means the page was probably created. And actually, I know this because I was looking at Cardi B as my reference point, because I know she was in a thing back in 2015. And there was a huge jump in time for her pages. So definitely, we'll have to put that as an issue. Handle a gap in XAMPP data.
I love your GitHub photo.
Thank you. All right. I'm going to try to leave it on this one so I don't forget. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and check this in. Text visual exploration. Sweet. All right. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.